obviously you're Scully in Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
That's right.
How much creative freedom did you get when you started playing the character?
Well, we got quite a bit because when you're starting a new show, the creative people are working on trying to build the relationships, and Dirk Blocker and I were added kind of toward the end. And so there wasn't a lot known about us or written about us. And so they just kind of said, just, see what you can come up with, kind of thing. So we were pretty much instrumental in creating these two guys and giving the writers ideas from what we were coming up with.
Yeah.
And eventually we didn't have to do so much of the creating. We were able to, they were writing the things for us. So particularly in the first season, we'd go up to our dressing room and everybody thought we were up there eating a sandwich or something. And actually we were up there working on our next bit that we were going to bring down to the set, because we knew the scene would start. Maybe it would start on us and then go to the action. So we wanted to have something to do, like sewing my sock or putting powder on my feet, or whatever, just something funny, some sight thing that the camera operators could start on us and then go to the action.
Yeah.
So we started doing a lot of that, and we were doing a lot of that in the background, but being careful not to distract from what was happening maybe in front of us. But we would come up with things that were just kind of crazy, because we were supposed to be super lazy and wasting as much time as possible. So that was our motivation. And so we came up with all kinds of things. And at one point, I think it was probably the second or third episode, one of our producers came up and gave me and gave me the okay to come up with a list, anything we need.
Oh,
something to soak my feet in,
yeah.
A chocolate fountain, whatever we wanted, write it on a list and give it to the props, and we'll get the things for you. So when the time comes, you'll have something to use, crossword puzzles and pencils and just anything we could think of that would, a hot water bottle, I don't know,
yeah,
whatever.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's kind of how it worked, because some of the things, wouldn't end up in the show. They would be in the cutting room, because they had to pare down the episode, but
yeah,
people were seeing what we were doing. And so they thought, we got to keep giving these guys stuff. And then in the second season, then they made us series regulars.
You mentioned like Hitchcock, played by Dirk. You guys in the show have you're almost like brothers, like you're constantly together. Is that relationship kind of shared off screen as well?
Yeah, I probably talk to Dirk probably at least once a week,
All right.
Still we call and check in, see what's going on. Yeah, we had it was interesting because Dirk and I knew each other prior to doing Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but we didn't know each other. We had never hung out with each other.
Yeah.
We would see each other's names signed on when you go to an audition, you have to sign in on a roster, when you're going to be next to do your audition. And I would come in inevitably and I would see his name on there and I'd go, oh crap, he's going to get it. Or he would come in and he'd see my name and he'd go, oh crap, he's going to get it. We both had the same, we were thinking. And then there we were, we end up together on this show. And, you know, I couldn't have asked for a better partner to, or creative person to come up with all the craziness and go along with all the stuff. And, you know, we just had a whole lot of fun coming up with stuff. And
Yeah.
when we were working on it by ourselves, we would have lots of laughs up in the dressing room, you know, thinking of crazy things. You know, like rock, paper, scissors. We did a whole thing where we did it super fast and we each kept doing the same thing.
Right.
So no one would ever win, you know. So fun things like that. And then we would be just, oh, we got to do that. We got to find a place to do that.
Do you have any techniques to stop yourself from laughing during takes? Because I imagine that happens quite a lot.
Well, you have to play it like dead serious. And that's what makes it funny, is that you're just completely honest and you're listening and reacting to the situation, whatever it is, in whatever odd way that your character would react, which isn't always in the norm. So the only way for it to work is to be dead honest and to be as real as possible, you know. And then when they say cut, then you can listen. And if everybody else is laughing, then you can go, oh yeah. You work with someone like Andy Samberg, who, you know, when you have scenes with him, you always had to be on your toes because of everybody. Everybody always had a little something maybe new they would pitch, an idea or something like that. That was all good. But Andy was also one of our producers. So he was a little bit more of he was our boss, really, you know? And so when he would come into a scene and say I only had a couple lines,
yeah,
I would say those lines in my head hundreds of times. And to me, that gave me room in my head in case Andy comes up with something where he says on the spot, all right, Joel, this is what we're going to do. You know, I'm going to come in and I'm going to do like a little rap thing about I don't want to wear a suit to Amy's Thanksgiving. And then you're going to come over and say, well, are we singing? And then I want you to sing an aria right there. It's like, okay, all right. Are you ready? You have something? I go, yeah, okay, let's shoot it. You know, it's like,
I don't know how those pills got in my apartment.
Wait, Jay, Scully, tell them we're cops. Tell them.
New some nibbits. Shoot. That means turnips. I said we were turnips. I got it, don't worry. We are turnips.
This is crazy, you know. But so you had to be ready for that, and you had to have, you know, room in your head to add that new stuff, because you could keep the old stuff, but now then we're going to add some new stuff on top. So say what you said before, and then now do this as well.
It sounds like the improvisation or the idea that there might be improvisation kind of kept it fresh.
Right. And, you know, you really, when you're doing something like that, you've really only got like one shot at it, really, because that's the funniest.
Yeah.
If you're able to lay it down, you know, like you're laying down a nice bunt, or you're hitting a home run or getting over to first base, if you can do that straight away, it's much better than saying, oh, we didn't quite get it. Let's try it again. And then it's just not quite as funny.
Yeah. Because
it's not so, the energy is taken out of it. The anticipation, the excitement of that first time doing this gag, and the cameras are rolling, and we got to hit it right this first time. So that was always hard too. But the more you made yourself ready for it, as far as your other dialogue and things like that, it was easier to then take on that new stuff. And within 30 seconds, you're going to do a whole new gag.
What was the feeling like when the show came to an end?
Well, I'll use an example. When the show was first canceled at Fox, it was probably about 48 hours, and then we got picked up by NBC. I got a phone call from my son, and he said, "Hey, Dad, are you okay?" And I said, "What? What do you mean?" I go, "I'm fine." He goes, "Well, the show got canceled." And I said, "Well, his name is Owen." And I said, "Owen," I said, "you know, we've never known from year to year if we're going to keep going. You know, after every year, they go, okay, we got another year. Oh, great." You know, so to have, I think that was at the end of 5 seasons. I said, we had 5 seasons and we had a great time and everything. And, you know, these things don't last forever on TV, particularly, you know, so it's time to, you know, move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And so I said, why don't you come over? I'll make you dinner. So he came over and I made him dinner. And my wife was out of town. And my phone was in the other room and it started dinging, you know, a little bing, bing, you know, I was getting messages. And he said, "Hey, Dad, you want to check your phone?" And I go, "No, I'm here with you. This is about you right now. You know, it's just people saying, oh, heard about the show. Sorry, you know, you're canceled, you know." And so we had a nice dinner and talking, and now it's about 10:30 in the evening. And he said, "Well, I think I'm going to take off. Do you want to check your phone before I leave? I'm curious. What was that all about?" And I said, "Okay, sure." So I go check my phone, and they were texts and emails from Dan Gore, our boss, saying at 9, we've been picked up by NBC. At 9 o'clock, you need to be on social media, letting everyone know. And don't do it before 9 o'clock. We're all going to do it at 9 o'clock. Well, I was an hour and a half late.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how that happened. And, you know, when season 8, you know, came to a close, you know, it was a hard season to do because of COVID.
Oh yeah.
And it was hard on everybody. And, you know, it was, I guess it was time to be done. I think there were more stories to be told. I don't think we would have run out of stories for a while, but you know, it just felt kind of like, yeah, maybe this is it. And you know, so fortunate to have had that, you know, 3 more seasons after being canceled. I mean, who gets to do that?
Mana tu sola che belogne o sola mio sam fronte te.
You hear this a lot, casts or crews or cast and crews becoming like family. We were along for weddings in our cast. We were along for, you know, some of our castmates had babies, you know, over this time, and we got to see them grow, you know, every you know, once in a while they'd come around and visit us, and, you know, they'd bring them to work, and, you know, you'd see these little people that we just saw, you know, a couple of years ago. Now they're growing up. And
I guess it's kind of like a similar thing as a viewer. I mean, maybe not exactly the same, but how, like, as a viewer, you kind of, like you said, grown 8 years, but with these characters. So I imagine it was like pretty emotional, like kind of saying goodbye to the character and also the other cast.
yeah, it was that last scene where the elevator closes and we're all in there. You know, they planned that for us all to be together the last day, because a lot of times you're shooting out of order and not everybody's there, but they arranged the last day for all of us to be there together. So that was
Awesome.
That was pretty awesome. Yeah.
If you could narrow it down, what do you think is your favorite Scully line or moment of the show?
Well, some of the lines, you know, the lines I think of are, it was early on where I put my foot up on the lunch table and Andy was trying to eat his sandwich and showing him my foot and saying, "It's all wart," you know, and he runs off gagging. You know, I really enjoyed that one. That was a lot of fun, you know. Just any of that time with Dirk, probably, you know, any goofy moment. I can't really say a whole, a certain line, because the line was always associated with, a big story or a gag, like Mama Megaleone, when we had the lasagna and that whole storyline, ticking clocks. That episode was so much fun.
Yeah.
Trying to get the garlic bread, and then at the end of it, who gets to sit at the end of an episode for 30 seconds just eating lasagna? I mean, I thought that was a brilliant idea to have us just sitting there eating.
Yeah.
What a funny way to end that episode. So.
Yeah, that was a great one. It was quite unique as well, so I imagine it was quite fun to film.
Because you're wondering, well, we're wondering what we're doing, because they didn't say we were going to do that. We just kept eating. Are they going to say cut? We're just going to enjoy this lasagna. And thankfully, it was a good lasagna, and it was a vegetarian lasagna that day. It was delicious.